Hey, what's up, guys? LQ here with the LQ Review, and I'm here to talk about Batman versus the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yes, this is gonna be my review for Batman versus the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And this was a really, really fun movie. Um, I've talked in the past when I did my trailer reaction. I've talked in the past about how they've done some comics with this topic, with this scenario, and it paid homage to those comics for sure, especially with like Shredder teaming up with Ra's al Ghul, the bad guys in Arkham Asylum getting the mutagen and getting exposed to the mutagen and becoming mutants. You know, they definitely paid homage to all that, but they kind of did their own thing. So let's talk about some of the things that were different. First of all, this was not an alternate reality story. So the turtles didn't come from another dimension. In this story, the turtles exist in New York. Batman exists in Gotham. They are in the same universe. So I thought that was an interesting take. They didn't have to deal with the whole alternate dimension hopping, which with the turtles would be easy. The turtles have done that a lot. But I kind of like the fact that they didn't have to deal with all that gobbledygook, and they just got right into the story. Hey, both these groups exist in this world. Batman exists in Gotham, Turtles exist in New York, and then they went for it. So that was interesting, and I liked it. Batgirl played a prominent role in this, and I don't think she played a role at all in the original comic. It's been a while since I've read it, but I don't think she played a role at all. It was nice having her presence there. It was nice having another member of the Bat family there. As far as the Bat family is concerned, we got Batman, we got Damian, and we got Batgirl. Commissioner Gordon makes an appearance, but for the most part, the Bat family was pretty scaled back. Um, the villains, obviously, you had Shredder, you had Ra's al Ghul. Those were your two primaries. You also had Joker and Harley Quinn play very significant roles. You also had Penguin play a pretty significant role. And then kind of there to be support villains would be like Poison Ivy, Bane, Mr. Freeze. Mr. Freeze had a pretty cool mutation. So, you know, you had your tertiary characters as well. Scarecrow was in it. So you know, you had some major villains. Two-Face. Two-Face had a cool mutation as well. So you had some major villains that kind of played backup characters, with Ra's al Ghul, Shredder being the main ones, and then Joker and Harley kind of leading the charge after them with the TCRI ooze. Let's talk about some of the major battles. First of all, Batman and Shredder fought twice. They fought once near the beginning, and Batman and Shredder fought near the end. And both battles did not disappoint. These were very well done. I know it's animation, so I don't know if choreograph is the right word, but very well choreographed battles. The two masters just going at it. You know, Batman is every bit the warrior as Shredder is. Shredder is every bit the warrior as Batman is. You know, it takes the four turtles to take down Shredder. He's a superior fighter to any one of them. But Batman is superior to all the turtles as well. So it was a good battle. It was a good battle. Both times. Both times. I'd say the first time was a draw. Maybe Shredder had the slight edge on the first fight. You know, the second fight was at the end, so, you know who won. But there was a good fight between Leonardo and Ra's al Ghul. That was a really good fight, another well-done one, another one that you just kind of smiling at, you know, as a fan of both properties, you can't help but smile at it and say this is what we signed up for. So Leonardo versus Ra's al Ghul was a lot of fun as well. And something that we got in this that we've never gotten in any Ninja Turtle movie. Not the 1990 movie, of course, not The Secret of the Ooze or Turtles 3, not the '06 animated or the two Michael Bay movies. I know they weren't directed by Michael Bay, but they were Michael Bay movies. In none of the Turtle movies we've seen Shredder straight up brutally murdering people. Now it's implied that he's killed. It's implied that he's killed for sure. But in this version, we get to see Shredder skewering people with his blades, like through the chest, through the back. We see their eyes go wide as they're dying. We see brutal Shredder here. We also see brutal Ra's al Ghul. So in this animated property, they were able to do some things that with Shredder and with the villains that they can't necessarily do in live action, because in live action they're still the Ninja Turtles. You're still going to have kids want to go see them. So there's definitely a brutality and a violence to this that we've never seen in Ninja Turtles before. We've definitely seen it in some Batman movies, for sure. But we've never seen this kind of brutality and violence in a Ninja Turtle property. So that was nice, it was good, and it was something that was fun to watch. Because we all know that that's how Shredder would be, right? I'd say the most violent that Shredder's ever been has been in the 1990 movie. And even then, he was toned down. He was toned down for that era. You had the 80s kids like me who went to see the 1990 version when they were 10, 11, and it was toned down for them. It was toned down for us. So, and Secret of the Ooze was the result of that. Secret of the Ooze was very much toned down, even compared to the first one. Secret of the Ooze was even more toned down. So, the most violent Shredder we've ever seen in live action was obviously the 1990 version. This was a different Shredder. I feel like this Shredder was modeled after the 1990 version. Even his clothes were very similar. His helmet was very similar. His mask was very similar. It was all very similar to that 1990 live-action version. So speaking of which, let's talk about some homages. They definitely paid homage to Batman the Animated Series, and they paid a lot of homages to the Ninja Turtles. The Party Wagon makes an appearance here, and that was great. It was fantastic. When the Batmobile takes off and they say, "We've got wheels too," and then Damien's riding in the turtle party wagon with him, and he's like, "You guys riding this willingly?" That was really good, really fun, and it was just cool. Baxter Stockman is in this, and he's got a decent sized role in this movie, and he's the Fly. He is an updated version of the 1980s, 1988, 89, 90 Baxter Stockman. Fly flying around doing Shredder's tech form. That's the version that we got. And I liked that. I liked it that, this kind of exists in its own continuity. Maybe a little bit of the 80s stuff thrown in, maybe a little bit of the Nickelodeon stuff thrown in, maybe a little bit of the early 2000s Turtles. It's all kind of just a hodgepodge, and they just kind of created their own little turtle world. So that was cool, and it was cool to see Baxter Stockman as the Fly being Shredder's techie, and he's constantly making the joke about he doesn't know whether he works for Shredder or whether he's a hostage, and throughout the movie he talks about, well, the way you're treating me right now, that's a little more hostage. So all that's really funny, and I really liked all that stuff too. Now, the movie's called Batman versus the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, so there was a fight between them. Of course, the fight's near the beginning, and Batman wipes the floor with them. Spoiler alert, Batman wipes the floor with him. But that was kind of to be expected, to set up the fight between Batman and Shredder. And even though Batman wipes the floor with him, he's impressed with Leonardo's fighting, he's impressed with the way the Turtles work together as a group, and the fight actually kind of won him over to the Turtle side once he realized that they were good guys and they were on his side. The plot is a decent enough plot for this type of movie. It involves Shredder and Ra's al Ghul teaming up. Ra's al Ghul wants the Ooze. By the way, the Ooze is called TCRI. It's got TCRI on the label, which is a nice callback to the movies. You talk about Secret of the Ooze, TCRI, so it's a nice little callback. But Ra's al Ghul wants the Ooze. He wants to create a Ooze Venom hybrid chemical, and he wants to rain it down on Gotham City. Meanwhile, Shredder wants the Lazarus Pit. Shredder wants immortality. He wants to be able to have the Foot Clan rule over the world forever. So he wants to go through Ra's al Ghul to get the Lazarus Pit. So their plot is to work together to create a device that can rain the ooze down on Gotham. And they both have plans to double cross the other one, which, is to be expected. But for this type of movie, the plot worked just fine. Now, there were some notable absences in this movie. Splinter was not in this movie. He was referenced a lot. There was a flashback that had him in it. Yeah, had him in it not fighting Shredder. They were talking about a secret move that only him and Shredder could do. So we saw a picture of Splinter, but Splinter was not a real presence in this movie. April O'Neil was not in this movie. Casey Jones was not in this movie, and I would have loved to see Casey Jones. I would love to see Casey Jones in Gotham. That would have been great, but we didn't get it. But what we did get was a movie that focused on the four turtles, Batman, Robin, and Batgirl. And that's all it really needed to do. Had some very nice battle scenes, had some good action, had some funny moments. I talked about how they referenced the Ninja Turtles. They also made references to Batman the Animated Series. The Batmobile is very, very reminiscent to Batman the Animated Series. And Turtles even joke about how there's always blimps flying in the air. And what are those blimps for? And there's a funny moment in the movie where the turtles are actually falling out of the sky and they land on the blimp. And like, oh, that's what they're for. So definitely a lot of references to the animated series as well. The animation style is even kind of reminiscent of the animated series, except for Batman's suit. Batman's suit was very reminiscent of, oh gosh, I forget the run, but it was kind of the gray suit with the purple underwear on the outside. I mean, kind of a old school type suit as well. So, and that didn't bother me. That worked very, very well given the context of this movie. It worked just fine. Joker and Harley had very decent sized roles in this. They both willingly mutated, and there's a Joker mutated into a snake. Harley mutated into some sort of wolf. I think it was a wolf. And there was a really weird scene where they kissed when they were mutated, and their tongues were they were tonguing each other. They were tonguing each other as mutants. It was really weird. But it was funny. It was funny, and I was in it, and it was just the animators and the writers, the director, they all knew the history of these characters, Turtles and the Batman characters, and they definitely, they definitely paid respect to a lot of the lore that both of these groups of characters brought. How good was this? Well, this is a top 5 DC animated movie for me. It really is. Batman Under the Red Hood is up there. Probably The Death of Superman, Reign of the Supermen. They're all up there. But Batman vs. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is definitely one of those tops. It was just really well done. It was longer than a lot of the animated movies were at about 90 minutes. Most of these animated movies come in like at 75, 80 minutes, and this one came in right at about 90. And they needed the extra time to really do this story justice. So I'm glad they took the extra time, because the story never felt slow. It never felt like it was dragging. And I'm just really glad they took their time to actually give all the characters in this movie their due. Some of the weaknesses, yeah, I would have liked to have seen Casey Jones. I would like to have seen Splinter. I would have liked to see April O'Neil. I would have liked to have seen a little more of the Turtles Rogues Gallery as well. We got Shredder, we got Baxter. It would have been nice to have seen Krang pop up. The Triceratons would have been cool. There's a lot of things that, Rat King would have been cool. So there's a lot of things that would have been neat to see. Definitely the Rogues. It would have been cool to see these Rogues in Gotham City, a city that's already used to some weird characters. And they even talked about that, how Michelangelo's like, Gotham's bonkers, yo, when the Penguin flies away on his helicopter umbrella. Gotham's bonkers, yo. I love that. And one of my favorite, the scene that got the biggest laugh from me, by far the biggest laugh from me, was Michelangelo's riding in the Batmobile with Batman. And Batman's like, don't touch any buttons. And as they get into the battle, Batman's just like, Michelangelo, touch buttons. And Michelangelo's like, I'm going to touch all of them. And that's hilarious, because he just starts touching all these buttons, and these guns start going off, and everything starts blowing up. And And you see Damien, he's off in the distance, and he just puts his head down and he's like, I've always wanted to touch all the buttons. And that was just a good scene, and Michelangelo's reaction to it was priceless. Yeah, this is a good movie. This is, like I said, one of my top DC animated movies, and I'm looking forward to watching it again because it really just struck all the right chords with me. As somebody who's a lifelong Batman fan, but more importantly, somebody who's a lifelong Turtle fan. And Turtles, I was a kid when Turtles were in their heyday. When Turtles were having that great run in the 80s, when they had a great toy line, cartoons, they had a concert, a CD, an album. You know, the Turtles were everywhere, everywhere. They had a sponsorship with Pizza Hut. The Turtles were literally everywhere when I was a kid. So the Turtles are kind of like a part of me. They're just ingrained into my DNA. So it was great to see these two franchises that I've loved for my whole life cross over in such a respectful way and such a fun way. So I really recommend this movie. If you're somebody who doesn't watch the animated movies because you're like, that's animated, that's for kids, I'm telling you what, this is not a kids movie. All right, the turtles cuss, there's violence, there's a lot of stuff going on in this. Check it out. I don't think you'll regret it. So I'm LQ. This is the LQ Review. Thank you so much for being here, where we talk about all the geeky, nerdy stuff that we love to talk about. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and help me out. And until next time, we'll see you later.